everyone, welcome back to Teach Nation. Today's video is going to be a bit different. The reason why is because I'm actually going to be sharing my screen and doing a Zoom video recording to show you some of my 6 tips of how to stay organized as a student. So if you have a child or you're a student who's going into high school or college or university, if you're looking for new ways to stay organized, this video is going to be super helpful. I've used all of these tips I'm about to share with you and they work. So stay tuned to see what's going to happen. Okay, so now that you know a little bit about me, I really want us to get started. I don't want to make this video too long. I want to make it very engaging so you can actually take the tips and use them during your high school experience, which is coming very, very soon. So I want to share with you 6 tips to stay organized as a high school student, and not just a high school student. I even used this when I was in college and university. So honestly, how to stay organized as a student in general, these 6 tips. My first tip is binder organization. So my first point says keep one notebook and one binder for each class to help organize yourself. This is super duper important. The reason why is because if you have, let's say, 7 classes or 6 classes in high school, I forgot how many classes it is per term, but if you have, let's say, for example, 7 classes that you have to attend to, having, let's say, only 1 binder or 2 binder for all those classes can be very disorganized. You're going to have sheets everywhere for science, sheets for history, sheets for math, everywhere. It's always best to have 1 binder per class. It helps you to stay organized. It helps you to understand, oh, if I'm looking for something for English, I know exactly where to go. I don't have to go through a whole bunch of papers to look for my English work. So I really encourage to have 1 notebook and 1 binder for each class. And I'll also add that that notebook that you do have for a particular class should be in the binder that you have for that particular class as well. So it'd be nice to have a notebook that has 3 hole punch holes in them so that you can just easily put it in your binder. Next thing I would say is have distinct sections in your binder to help stay organized. It's enough, I should say actually, it's not enough to just have a binder for each class. But within your binder, there needs to be some type of organization. So when you go in looking for, let's say, oh, I'm going to get my math binder. You have your math binder, but everything's disorganized in there. So it's not enough just to have a binder for each class, but within your binder for each class, there needs to be some type of organization. So I'm going to help you with that to know what type of sections you can have in your binder that can be very helpful. For what I did when I was in high school was my first section, which with my dividers, was classroom notes. So every note I ever took in my class, and my teacher asked us to take notes, or I personally took my own notes to study afterwards, I had a classroom notes section. So every note I took on loose leaf, I put it right behind that class note section, the divider. The next one, which is my number 2 section, is classroom activity sheet. So sometimes when you're in school, your teacher might give you a handout to complete with questions or reading comprehensions and so and so. When you have those sheets, I recommend not to put in the classroom notes section because that's totally 2 different things. But the handouts that your teacher gives you, you should have a section for that, which is called classroom activity sheets. So everything your teacher gives you has a handout, you should put it behind there. And that's all that goes there, just to stay organized. Your 3rd section in your binder, which should be next, is tests or quizzes. So sometimes, I know we all don't like tests and quiz, but sometimes we do have to do them, right? So when you do your test, your quiz, you give it to your teacher when you complete it, you get your results back. And if your teacher allows you to keep it, because not all teachers are going to give you your test that you can keep it forever, but some teachers will let you keep it. So if you have the opportunity to keep your tests with you, I recommend to put it right behind your test and quiz section has a binder as well. My next one, 4, is projects. Sometimes your teachers might give you a handout for a project, which gives you a description of what you should do for a project and guidelines. Those type of things, I would recommend to put it in the project section. Leave it there and make sure the deadline is highlighted so you know exactly when the work, the project is due for. So I recommend have a project section, make sure it's nice, clear, and tidy. If your teacher gives you a handout for projects, or let's say you finished a project and it happens to be on paper that you can actually file away, I would also recommend for that to put in the project section. So if ever you need to show something to your teacher or show something to a friend because you want to help them with something, you know exactly where your project section is. Next is my, this is basically diverse sheets. So it's, if you have work that doesn't fit into classroom notes, doesn't fit into classroom activity sheets, doesn't fit into test projects, this is basically your diverse sheets. They're just sheets that are just, you need them, you need to keep it, you need to file it, but they don't match those sections I just mentioned, you could just put it there. So they're just diverse different sheets that you can put there. So just at least you have evidence of that work and you can still keep it. My next one is there's no need for a divider for this section, but you could have one. It's your loose leaf section. So this is a whole bunch. I would always recommend having like at least 100. I know it's a lot, but at least 100 loose leaves behind the last section of your binder. The reason why is because sometimes you might be sitting in your class, your teacher might say, oh, everyone take up a sheet of paper. You want to go around asking your friends for paper. You want to be organized and already have that on your own. So if every binder you have a whole bunch of loose leaf behind your binder, which is the last section of your binder, it keeps you organized. You just take loose leaf, take it out, write the things you need to write. That becomes your class notes and it goes into the first section of your binder. So I hope those are clear. So classroom notes, the first one, classroom activity sheets, test and quiz section, projects, diverse sheets, last but not least, a whole bunch of loose leaves. Oh, and one thing I forgot to add. The first section, as I said, is class notes, which you would have a divider for it. Right before that, I encourage you, if your teacher does give you a syllabus or an outline of their class of what you're going to be covering and so on, so I recommend to keep that. That's a contract between you and your teacher of what he or she's going to give you and what you have to do in order to pass the class. So I recommend keeping that syllabus or that outline for the class right when you open your binder. That should be the first thing you see, and then it's your notes section. Tip 2, distraction delay productivity. This is so true. I recommend before you start any assignment that you have, let's say you come home, you have to do your homework, I recommend turning off your phone or putting on silent or putting it somewhere far away that you have to get up and go get it. So it's kind of like, oh, I don't want to do that. I recommend eliminating all distractions. The more you check your phone, because, oh, let me just check social media for a second. Oh, let me just check YouTube for a second. The more you do that, the more each time it's being wasted or taken away for you to be productive with the work you have to do. So try to, before you get started, just eliminate all distractions. Or I even recommend, if you like your room as a distraction, I recommend going somewhere else in your house that you know that there's not things that will just attract your attention. 3, it says it is important to remember that no one has a perfect memory, and trying to remember everything you need to do can become stressful. Write everything down. So with this one, I recommend having an agenda. I absolutely love agendas. They help me so much to stay organized and not forget things, or even like a small notebook, and you just date what you have to do for that day. So I recommend to write everything down what you have to do. So if your teacher tells you that you have an assignment due on, let's say a random day, April 23rd or so, or June, I recommend writing it down so you're able to stay, know when that's coming up, because you're gonna, if you don't write it down right away, you're gonna forget it. So I recommend write everything down. 4, create your own deadline before the due date. This is super important because I remember having so many friends in high school or even college that something would be due in 2 days, and then they will see my agenda like, wait, that's due today? I mean, that's due in 2 days? I'm like, yes, it is. It's super important to make your own deadline. Yes, you'll have, yes, your teacher will give you a deadline to complete your work by, but I recommend, let's say, for example, if your teacher says your work is due April 24th, for example, I recommend you telling your own self with your own agenda actually is due April 14th. That gives you 10 days to, if you finish on April 14th and is due on April 24th, that gives you 10 days to go over the work that you have to do. Read it to a friend, go over it during the night, during the day, so you're able to check mistakes that you missed out when you first wrote your, let's say, an essay. And it also gives you extra time to seek guidance from your teacher or your peers to make sure you're doing the right thing. So I recommend, you may have a due date that your teacher gives you, set your own due date that's at least 10 or 5 days before that date. My tip number 5 is it can be very helpful to break down big tasks into small tasks for upcoming assignments and projects. In high school and even especially university is so fresh in my mind because I just graduated compared to high school. But let's say, for example, there's sometimes you have really big assignments you have to complete that have little sections, and you can easily miss it out to those little sections if you're just looking at the big picture. So I always recommend, if you have a huge assignment that you have to complete, I recommend to break it down. And what I mean by breaking it down is, let's say, for example, you have an essay to do, which essays are, you most likely have a lot of essays to do in high school. Let's say you have an essay to do. I recommend one day just work on the introduction. That's it. That's all. Introduction. Make sure you have a nice thesis statement. A thesis, a statement. Just work on the introduction. The next day, your target can be, let me just work on the first paragraph. Make sure I have it done, completed, that's it. Your third day can be the second paragraph, and so and so. So big tasks break into small tasks. Before you know it, you're done the whole big task. So that's my tip number 5. Number 6, stay motivated. School can be very stressful sometimes for all of us, or school can be very fun. It depends on how you view school. But I recommend that when school does get tough, I recommend to do stuff that you like and that you enjoy. You need, sometimes we can get so caught up in our work and we forget that, actually I need a break to rejuvenate myself and get back my mind into something that I enjoy, because I'm getting drained. So I recommend, as much as you're doing, keeping organized, making sure you're getting all your work done, I also recommend to do stuff that you enjoy. If it's badminton, soccer, let's say going to restaurants with your family, your friends, do things that you enjoy, and make sure that is a priority as well, as much as doing your schoolwork is a priority. Yes, so that's it for my 6 top tips of how to stay organized as a student. Hopefully that video that I just made can prepare you for when you go back to school. Hope it's super helpful for you, and the tips really work because I have done it since my school years. So hopefully you find it helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to message me. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Take care for now. Bye.